Hey guys, it's Jill and welcome to my booktube channel. This video is going to be a May and April reading wrap up. I didn't have time at the end of April to do a wrap up of that month, but I also didn't really read too much in April, way less than I thought I would, so there probably wouldn't have been too much to talk about in that video anyway. These past 2 months I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books, which isn't too much, but I was traveling for the last month and a bit, so I didn't have too much time to be sitting down and reading, binging books. This is also the first time I've filmed for over a month, which is so weird because usually I will film every single week for my channel, but because I was going on the trip, I had to batch some content, which was also why I was only posting every 2 weeks. Anyways, that is enough of that. I'm going to get started with the books that I read in April. So I read pretty much most of the books on my Kindle just because with traveling, I actually brought Heir of Fire and then Queen of Shadows. Wait, is that the next one? Yeah, I brought Queen of Shadows 2 on my trip, and they were just very heavy and kind of annoying, honestly, to be lugging around in my carry-on. But yeah, I did bring those, and then I also brought my Kindle, which I downloaded. If you saw my previous or one of my previous videos, I can't remember exactly which one, but I fully stuffed my Kindle, so I put 20 books on here, and I read not all of them obviously, but I read a good amount, I feel like. But this first book that I read in April, I don't have it downloaded anymore, but it was called Too Sweet. It was a high school vampire romance, which I saw someone comment on someone else's video suggesting it, and it just seemed pretty low stakes, and also the page count was pretty low. I think it was 250-ish. I found out pretty quickly when I started reading this one that I don't think I was really the target audience for it, because it was that trope of the high schooler FMC who just hates everyone and is rude and pretty unlikable, honestly. And what she was thinking and her thought process and everything, it just seemed very immature, which made sense because she was in high school, of course. But I feel like since I'm pretty far removed from high school, I just didn't really enjoy that kind of personality that the FMC had. There was also fake dating in this one, but the way that the fake dating started made literally no sense, and it was so rushed, and I was kind of confused as to why the one person in the situation even agreed to follow through with this fake dating, because it was just so random and sudden, I guess. There was definitely the reverse grumpy sunshine trope. She was definitely grumpy and he was nicer, more sunshiny. The MMC was also the one that fell first. However, unfortunately, with this also being kind of like novella length, I felt like I didn't connect to really any of the characters, and I didn't really care about their relationship. So unfortunately, I gave this one 2 stars, but I feel like that was mostly in part because I just don't think I was the target audience, like I said. After that, I read Heartless, which is the 3rd book that I've read from the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. I have concluded that I just don't think this series is for me, which kind of sucks because everyone raves about it, everyone loves the whole series. I just personally felt like this was so insta-lovey. It is the nanny and single dad trope, and I just didn't feel like their connection was anything more than just like a physical connection. This was also Grumpy Sunshine, where the FMC was Sunshine and the MMC was the Grump. And unfortunately, I did skim the last quarter of it just because I wanted to get it over with, and I didn't really care about the relationship or really anything that was going on in it. There is a kid in it also. If you don't like kids in books, I wouldn't recommend this one either. I ended up giving this one a 2.5 stars, which I can't remember if I gave the one I read before this one 2 stars or if I also gave that one 2.5 stars. But with this track record, I just feel like I'm not going to read from this series anymore, like I said earlier. But I do have Wild Love downloaded, and I've heard amazing things about it, so I still will give Elsie Silver a chance, and I'm going to read that one, see if I like it, and if not, I think I'm just going to let it be that her and I just don't mesh, I guess, with like reading and writing styles, which is totally fine. And after that, I read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I was really anticipating this book and this new release this year. There's fake dating in this one, meeting online, and it's super cute. The FMC is a travel nurse, which is really cool. I don't remember what the MMC did, but that's besides the point. I did feel like the reason for them ending up in the same city was kind of outlandish a bit, and like most of Abby Jimenez's books, there is a really emotional aspect to it, which I remember tearing up a bit. I don't think I fully cried. Both the FMC and the MMC had some very difficult family situations that they had to deal with in this, which made it have that emotional aspect. And I also liked how the third act breakup was not really like a crazy third act breakup. I guess there was a third act breakup, but it was different than other romances that I've read before, and I felt like it was more believable as well. So I ended up reading this one 4.5 stars, and I would definitely recommend this one. I feel like it's a good summer read, and it's also really nice when highly anticipated books end up living up to my expectations. Alright, for these next two books, I started them in the correct order, but ended up finishing them out of order, and that is the Housemaid series. So I read the Housemaid first, DNF'd it at about 20%. And the reason for that was because the FMC was just so desperate for this housemaid job, and she ends up getting a job for this very wealthy family, but the wife is so rude and contradictory and purposely tried to embarrass and humiliate the FMC, which I just kind of had enough of reading. I was kind of frustrated reading about that because it just, I don't know, didn't bring good feelings when I was reading it. So I DNF'd it, and I was like, okay, I'm probably not going to go back to this, so I'm just going to read a spoiler summary of it. So that's what I did. I read the spoiler summary, but after that I was still in the mood for a thriller, so then I was like, I guess I have to read the second book of this little series. So then I picked up The Housemaid's Secret, and this one I enjoyed a little more, and I actually read it really fast. I feel like I read it in one sitting while I was on my trip. The FMC gets involved with another couple where the husband is abusing the wife, so the wife is trying to get the FMC's help to deal with it. And of course there's a bunch of twists and turns that happen. Yeah, this one was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I just don't really think that for thrillers the writing is very good sometimes. I don't know if it's just this author, because I feel like I've read quite a few books from this author now. I think I've read like 4, and I just feel like the writing is just very to the point, and then after every chapter it's like, oh, like this is mysterious, or oh, like this person looked at me like this, so what does it mean? Just kind of like very forced cliffhanger-y, which I definitely noticed while reading both of those books. So I'm definitely not reading Freida McFadden for the writing style, but they are entertaining enough for me to just read really fast. So because of that, I probably will pick out the third one, which is coming out later this summer. I can't remember which month it is, but I will likely read that and then just binge it in a day or something. So when I was on my trip, I wasn't able to download any more books, but the only thrillers that I had downloaded were those 2. And then after reading The Housemaid's Secret, I was like, okay, I'm still kind of in a thriller mood, which is weird because I'm like never in a thriller mood. So then I was like, okay, I guess I'll go back to read The Housemaid, even though I read spoilers online. At that point, I kind of even forgot what happened. So I was like, okay, I'll reread this, and then hopefully that is good enough for me to be happy with reading that thriller. So I did end up finishing it, and it didn't take me too long. The husband was like really nice to the FMC. Like I was saying before, the wife was really rude, and there's also a kid, and the kid is really rude to the FMC as well. And in this one, actually, despite the fact that I read the summary and knew what happened, there were some very dark elements that were honestly pretty disturbing to read about. So that's kind of a warning to you if you're wanting to read The Housemaid. I definitely don't think I really liked that part of it. It was just a little bit too dark for me, I feel like. So I did end up rating this one 2.5 stars. I just don't really think it was for me. But again, I think I'll still read the third one that's coming out later in the summer. And then after reading those thrillers, I was in kind of a fantasy romance mood. So I started Spark of the Everflame, which I heard was kind of popular on BookTok. I'm not really on BookTok, so I haven't heard too much about it. And I haven't heard too many people talk about it on BookTube or Bookstagram. But this is an enemies to lovers fantasy romance. There's spying, like secret spying of the crown, I guess. There's the touch her and I'll kill you trope. I honestly wasn't super into the main male character, and I've since started the second book, haven't finished it yet, and I still don't know if I'm really into the main male character. I did feel like in this one though that the plot progressed way faster than I anticipated, which wasn't a bad thing at all. I was just surprised. And without giving too much away, there was this situation going on in the city, and I thought that this situation would kind of be addressed in the later books, because there are 4 books out, I think, currently, and it was addressed like really fast. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. I feel like I am, after starting the second book, liking that one better, so I think I'll be rating the second book a little higher than 3 stars. But I felt like this first book, there were some aspects that were just super predictable, which is why I think I settled with the 3 stars. After that, I read If You Could See the Sun. This is by Anne Liang. This is YA, and the FMC needed money for school. Coincidentally, she also ends up discovering that she can turn invisible, so because of that she ends up hiring, or no, she gets hired to do tasks in her invisible form so that she can get paid a lot of money, and she needs this money because she needs to pay for her tuition fees for this really expensive bougie international school in Beijing. This one was also interesting because the turn that it took was kind of silly and kind of like not a mystery but like thriller-ish. I don't know, maybe that's not the way to describe it, but it was pretty unbelievable. Like, you definitely had to suspend your disbelief with this one, and there was also like a very serious side to it too. There was a side plot of romance, academic rivals. There's also kind of that underdog story, and overall I gave this one 3 stars as well. It was okay and I would recommend it, but I don't think I love this author's writing. I read one other book by this author and I think I also gave it 3 stars, but they did recently come out with a new novel, so I might give that one a try and see how I like that, and hopefully maybe I'll rate that one more than 3 stars. The last book I read this month, and also I don't think I'll probably be reading much within the next few days. It's the 29th today. I have like 2 more days of the month, I guess, and I don't really plan on reading much. So this is going to be the last book that I read this month, Air of Fire by Sarah J Maas. And this book, I wasn't disappointed with it, but I will say I definitely did not like it as much as the other 3 books before it. I felt like this was definitely a setup book for the rest of the series. I did find it interesting and enjoyed reading about the different storylines of Selena, Dorian, the witches, and then also, what's the other guy's name? Chow. The love interest in this was also really unexpected to me, and I don't really think I was into it. Also, going along with my thoughts of this being a setup book, I felt like there were definitely parts that were slower in here, and I was kind of just like, let's pick it up. I did like the ending of this one though, so I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars overall, and I am really excited to start Queen of Shadows. And with that, that is it for this monthly reading wrap up for May and April. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry if this video was kind of choppy. I feel like I'm just not used to filming, but hopefully you can bear with me, and I'm really excited to continue to make videos weekly and post a lot in the spring and summer. I guess it's like kind of summer now. Of course, if you have any book recommendations for me, or if you've read any of the books mentioned in this video, please let me know your thoughts in a comment down below. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for more book content, and I will see you guys in a new video next week. Bye!